Dr. Aderibigbe, clarify for people the risk. Once again, and people are saying, we want our children to go to school because we have to go to work and we have no place to put them. So so they think it's more important to have their children in school because they need to go to work. That's some of the case that's been made by some of the Gwinnett County parents, for instance, who were protesting a couple of weeks ago. Weighing again the educational risk or the babysitting risk, if you will, against the health risk. Please clarify.
Yes, it's very difficult. To put it in perspective, I pulled out a CDC blog from the other day where they polled 20 doctors, epidemiologists, medical experts, and just says, okay, it's one thing to advise people, tell them what you think. What would you do? And I'll just read a little excerpt from there. It says, we got a wide range of responses, which were highly dependent on the location, the personal risk tolerance, degree of support at home, the measures taken at the individual school, and the age of the children. Very diverse factors coming into play. 6 of the experts felt confident about sending their kids back, 6 out of 20. 8 were in the wait and see mode. And the final 6 were leaning strongly towards remote learning and were not comfortable with the prospect of having kids in school, at least for the beginning of the year. Risk tolerance is a big deal. Even here in my hospital, I talked to some of the nurses. Some of them says, I understand the risk, but I'm just gonna have to find another job if my kid stays at home. Another person who has a grandmother staying with her says, no, that risk is not worth taking. I'm going to do online, no matter what it takes me. So it's so individual. And when the American Academy of Pediatrics came out in May in support of kids going back to school, a lot has happened since then, even in the past 3 weeks. So it keeps on shifting, and we have to be sensitive to those numbers. So that's my take. It's not a yes or no response.
No answer. All right. So now and you can speak to this, Dr. Fuller, as well. So some people are saying, all right, so there is a cure. And there is a medicine you can take prophylactically. And that medication is hydroxychloroquine. What do you say about that?
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about that. And, here in the United States, any kind of drug has to go through phases of study and safety profiles and things like that. Granted, when there's something going on as significant with major consequences as the COVID, that has to be really sped up. From all the reports I've seen, even though I'm a child physician, the safety profile and efficacy hasn't made the experts comfortable with saying that's the way to go. Having said that, I do know that when your back is to the wall, sometimes people will get out of the box and try different things. Like outside this country, I know it's being used. It's not being studied. And so I think people have to be careful about recommending that medication here. That's my take. I wouldn't just take it. Some people are even recommending prophylaxis, just take it. If you remember, from some of us who are from malaria endemic parts of the world, it's used as an anti-malaria medication. So it's been used already for years and years in other setups. Now, for the high-risk people, remember, it does have cardiac side effects. So when you are older, you have blood pressure issues and other things, or you are taking other medication. There could be some side drug-to-drug effects. So I would really talk to your physician before embarking on that.
Thank you. Ms. Horn, when children are in school, of course, they have the physical activity aspect as well. And maybe they're not getting that at home right now. So the disruption in school is not only affecting their learning, but could undermine their physical health and their physical security, their social emotional learning as well, and their food access. What advice would you give to parents to mitigate that impact?
Well, I think that's a really great question. I think the biggest thing, it would depend on, let's say if they're all online, their online learning schedule. And I'm just going to go off of Gwinnett County and what we're doing at Parkview, just to kind of give an example. So the way our classes are going to be set up for this semester, there's 10-minute break in between each class, because they have to get on and live stream their classes. And I would say really utilize that break time to get up, stretch, go outside, get fresh air. If they have an hour-long lunch break, go outside, do a little exercise if they can. Really something just to get them up and moving and away from their computer desk wherever they're sitting. So that's going to be the biggest thing is, pushing your students to get up, take breaks, stretch, get that fresh air. That, I feel like I'm not a doctor by any means, but I think there's something to be said about getting outside and just getting some sun for a few minutes. Also, I would recommend to parents, to help their students create a routine. Don't let them go to school in their pajamas. Really get them up, tell them to get dressed in their school clothes. Because really what you want to do, kind of trick, when you're in this situation, is trick your brain into thinking you're in the school setting, wear school clothes, have that routine. And, when we were discussing earlier before everybody joined us, saying, cutting off a time when saying, hey, my student has sat in front of the computer long enough today, they need to cut it off, they need to be done. Because the biggest thing is that teachers are being very flexible and are being instructed to be very flexible during this situation. They know that students are sharing devices, that there might be internet issues, all sorts of things. And they also know, and us being adults as well, that sitting on a computer for long periods of time is draining, it's exhausting. And so I would, advise parents to say, after 6, 7 p.m., designate a time that they don't get on and do schoolwork anymore, because they're still kids. They still need to do fun things. They still need to enjoy their night. They don't need to be on the computer till 12 and 1 o'clock in the morning doing their schoolwork. And, I did see some of that when this started, in March. And I would be talking with my students, about their routines and all of that. They would say, Miss Horn, I've, didn't finish my digital learning until 2 o'clock in the morning. They're up. And then, they created this vicious cycle for themselves that they couldn't break and were sleeping all day. And so I think the routine is the biggest thing, is help them do that, but also sit down with them and help them create a calendar. This is huge. They have, for example, at Parkview, our students have 6 academic classes. And so, and they're going to be getting work from each of those classes. So if parents can sit down and review a syllabus with the students for each of their classes, put it on a calendar, something tangible that they can see. I think that's going to be imperative, because, it goes back to helping them cut off when they do their schoolwork. So, for example, they have maybe a test next week. Well, they have a project due this week. So if the kids can see that, then they can start to learn to prioritize what's important for this week and what I can, get a little bit of time to do the next. So those are the big things I think parents should know, as far as how to help them be successful. And just checking in with them mentally, how are you doing? Asking them those questions, communicating, and if they aren't feeling, like they're doing okay, assessing are they talking to their friends? Are they getting social interaction? Are they out doing things, are they out, they get off their digital learning for the day, are they doing things outside, getting that fresh air? And are they talking to their school counselors? That's a big thing too, is they need to have somebody that they can talk to about what's going on in the world, because I know that they're having a hard time really understanding it because it is such all the politics that is involved with this. And as children, you know, they haven't really seen that side of the world yet, and now it's like bam, hitting them in the face. And I'm sure they're hearing parents talk about it, you know, and you know, their friends talk about it, but they don't really understand what all that means yet. So having that open communication.
So something of helping them be successful.
Mm-hmm.
Technology access.
Yeah.
What are the school systems doing? In this case, Gwinnett County, which you're a part of, to ensure that students have access to technology, because socioeconomically, every household is not the same. What is the school system doing to ensure that each child has access to the technology that they need for digital learning?
And I would say Gwinnett County has been wonderful. You know, I feel blessed to be a part of a school system where they have these resources for Gwinnett. They have purchased a significant amount of Chromebooks for students, and they have distributed them out to the different schools. Schools already had extra Chromebooks now available, but now that we are all online, they went ahead and bought all of these computers, distributed them out, and schools are able to give those out to kids in need. And then also with internet access, that's a big one too. They have purchased a lot of hotspots that we can allocate to students. And so we've already started that process. I know at Parkview where, you know, we have parents and students calling, asking about the device and internet connection, how can they get that? But we're also, you know, posting that and letting them know, you know, hey, if you need help, if you need internet access, if you need a device, then contact your local school and we'll make sure those resources are provided. I know not every school system has that capability.
I'm not sure that this information has been really publicized. So how do people find out?
So for Parkview, that is going to be on our website. And so students and parents will be able to click a link and, you know, and it takes them to the person at our school that handles giving out devices and hotspots.
So essentially reach out to your school.
Yeah. If you're a parent in Gwinnett County, you'll want to reach out to your local school and ask them about that. And so we want people to know that that's available.
Okay. So other counties also, I suppose it would be good to reach out to your school system as well. Professor Aki, I mean, what's been done at the university level for students in terms of resources?
Yeah, as Ms. Horn was just talking, I was thinking about our students. When we had to go online in March, I had a student in my class who couldn't really participate online because she didn't have internet access at home. And her main access was her telephone. And she normally will come on campus and use the library to do her work on the internet, on the computer. Well, when the university was shut down, that option disappeared. She couldn't complete the semester. I had to give her an incomplete, right? So that's a real challenge for students. Now, in terms of giving students computers or iPads, I'm not really aware of what the university is doing about that. Also the issue of students who may not have internet access at home. That's a serious problem. And I don't know what the university is doing about that. Now, I want to just follow up a little bit with what Ms. Horn is saying here. The schools represented here are in the Metro Atlanta area. I'm worried about schools in the rural areas and schools in those school districts where they don't have the resources to give laptops or iPads to their students, right? We all know how schools are funded through property tax. And those schools in the less well-endowed areas may not have the resources to do online. So just as we're talking about, you know, university students not having those access or, you know, having challenges getting those type of resources. What do we do? How are the schools that are not in wealthy school districts or in Metro Atlanta area, how are they coping? Do they have reliable internet access? Do the kids have computers? Is there any equity in terms of equal access to these resources across the state? I don't know, but I think those are things that we really should look into. Now, at the university level, professors at Kennesaw, we've been issued iPads with university installed softwares that can, help with online teaching, right? But in terms of what is being done for the students, I can't speak to that because I don't know.